for coming and joining us this evening for October the 8th Town Council meeting for the Town of Summerfield. We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order, and I'll ask Mayor Pro Tem Devaney if she will to have our opening prayer for us.
If everybody would please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet in this room tonight. We thank you for being here with us tonight. We thank you for each person you have made in the Summerfield community, made in your image, made with your dignity, and made with your infinite worth. Dear God, we ask that you help us to see each person's talents and gifts. We ask you to help us unite these talents and gifts. Lay down the hurtful and harmful words. Help us to use these talents and gifts to weave a beautiful tapestry representative of the town we all love. Dear God, we truly thank you for all of our blessings. Continue to lead us and guide us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And Councilperson Robinson, if you will, lead us in pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoffman, you start our introduction, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Hoffman, Town Clerk.
Dan Luther, interim town manager and finance officer.
John Doggett.
Heath Clay.
Lynn Williams Devaney.
Tim Sessom.
Janelle Robinson.
Jonathan Hamilton.
Jeff Bacon.
On to our consent agenda. Is there any discussion of the consent agenda, or would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we add item 12I to the agenda, and that is adding committee appointments. One for the historical committee and one for the Founders Day committee.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So any further discussion of the consent agenda, or would anyone like to make a motion to vote on it as amended?
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll make the motion that we vote on the consent agenda as amended.
But to approve?
To approve it, yes.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion in a couple of seconds. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Any announcements?
Mr. Mayor, I have some announcements. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody in the town of Summerfield and Greensboro and the other towns that surround us for coming out to our summer cycle. I think we might have had about 500-600 people there. The staff did a great job in being there. I got to be there for a little while myself, and it was a great event. Also, we have some upcoming events for our community. On this Saturday, October 12th, we have a movies in the park, and it is the movie. And then on Saturday, October 26th, let me go back to this October 12th. It's at 6:30 p.m. At the Summerfield Athletic Park. That's October 12th. It's the movie 6.
You're sure it's 6:30 and not 7?
7:30.
This says 6:30.
Gates open. We'll start to move around. 7:30.
Gates open at 7:30. I apologize. The second one's different. Okay.
The movie is If?
The movie is It.
Great.
Okay, so, and then on Saturday, October 12th, the gates open at 6:30, but the movie starts at 7:30, and it's also at the athletic park, and it's Despicable Me 4.
The 26th.
The 26th, did I say the 26th? The 26th of October, Saturday, October 26th. At 7:30 p.m. is when the movie starts, and the gates open at 6:30 p.m. And it's at the Summerfield Athletic Park. And just a reminder that the Northwest Guilford Farmers Market, they will be open until October 30th. And after October 30th, orders can be taken online, and I was told by Nikki that they can meet for pickups on Wednesdays. One more event on Saturday, November 9th, from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Summerfield Athletic Park. We'll have the Touch-a-Truck event. And one more item is, I know I've heard from a lot of citizens about their passions for Summerfield and what they're excited about. And so I wanted to come up with some type of a united way to get feedback from the town for the council to consider. And I know I have my ideas, but I'm more interested, I'm sure council is interested in citizens' ideas, and with a think tank, with people who think, honor, innovation, and we network our knowledge together. So with a think tank, if you have a passion, and I'll use Bandera Farms for example, I know we're all really excited about an equestrian park, so let's make it something to put on the map. And if you have ideas about additional fundraising, or perhaps helping create a foundation so that the town can use money for special projects like this, to ideas, I would ask that you send this information to the new town manager, Mr. Rollins, and he would be more than happy to take any citizens' ideas on this. And remember, this is not a gripe tank. This is a think tank. So it's all positive and uniting our community together so we can get the things that we're passionate about done. And with that said, just one quick announcement. I have spoken to Archer Lodge and thanked them for writing the resolution to support us in the effort of de-annexation. I'm planning to go to Wesley Chapel, and Cal Stalls has been out also personally thanking towns that supported us. We just think that that's important as small towns across North Carolina, that we support one another in our efforts going forward. I'm done.
I think there might be one other announcement this coming Sunday, maybe, Ms. Luther?
I was gonna say it if you didn't.
So this Sunday at 2 o'clock here,
Yes.
it is a public reception and forum for you to come in and introduce yourself, and for the new town manager to introduce himself to you. So please come out Tuesday between this Sunday 2 to 4, and come meet the new town manager. I'm sure he would love to hear from you, get to know you. So Sunday 2 to 4.
And
We're gonna need fireworks. No, I'm just kidding.
can we get that on the Facebook page as well so folks can see it?
It's already on
It's
there.
already big.
It's on Facebook, it's on the website, on the calendar.
Now, I want to add too that this is, for now, this is obviously then your last time here as the interim manager.
Yes.
And so very thankful for you to come and help us out.
My face is hurting, I'm grinning too
Not
much.
not the first time you stepped in to help out Summerfield, but the second, right?
Yes.
So, and I'm sure if we need you, you'll be there for a third. But no, I very much appreciate that. And one more thing, I believe I heard recently, Miss Whitaker passed away. Can someone speak a little more to that? They know anything?
Yeah, I'll plan to.
And I'll pass it to you.
This past Saturday, Trudy Whitaker, longtime member of the planning board and citizen of Summerfield since 1996, when her and her husband moved here, and her husband passed away in 2015, and Trudy had just turned 80 years old, and got sick suddenly, and she passed away this past Saturday. So we mourn with our town and with her family. Her daughter is in town from New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yeah, and her daughter's in town, was with her when she passed. So it's a big loss, not only for their family, of course, but for our town. Trudy was a very unique and special, feisty, musical science teacher, and just a wonderful, wonderful person. So she'll be greatly missed.
Has anybody figured out how many years she's given to the town yet?
No, I'm trying to gather all that.
I think, I want to say I saw maybe I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but 2004 or 5, it was a very, it's been a long time since she's here, yeah.
Any other announcements?
I just want to remind everybody to check on the website calendar, because there's some location changes. There will be early voting in this building, so some of the meetings will have to be at town hall as a result of the voting equipment and the early voting here. So just pay attention to the calendar in case of a location change. A couple of those were already noted on the agenda, and if anything else happens, we'll let you know.
So we don't have to go to Brazil for early voting, we can come here?
Apparently, they're doing early voting here this time. We got notification and we verified it because they sent it to us and it was highlighted Pleasant Garden. So I didn't know if they sent the wrong information, and we confirmed it and they said yes. And they also called to discuss the equipment just the other day.
And it is official on their website and notices that they are having it here.
Okay.
Guys, so this is your last time as, you might be here next time as the finance officer for the time being, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
We're in the agenda. I read this upcoming meetings, and I didn't see it. On the early voting.
Oh,
It's like it says, some of them there at the town hall instead of here. Like the
Oh,
Board of Adjustment.
you didn't put the early voting on the calendar being at the
No.
community center? Oh,
No.
okay. That's what I thought you meant. I didn't remember reading.
No, we noted the location change for the Board of Adjustment and Planning Boards. They normally meet
Okay.
here.
Thank you.
But best thing is to check the Board of Elections to have the official calendar for them.
Any other announcements? We'll move on to our emergency services reports. Summerfield Fire District.
The fire-related calls, they did 28, EMS-related calls 60, other calls 59, for a total of 147 calls. Also, 11 child safety seats were installed. Going on with the sheriff. Guilford County Sheriff's Department report, 258 calls and 18 cases reported.
Thank you. Item number 7 is our council committee and board reports, financial report. Is there any discussion of those, or is there any committee chairmen that are here that would like to report?
I have a question about it, if nobody has any reports.
Okay.
I saw that, I guess for like the ABC board minutes, it looks like Mark Brown currently represents Summerfield, so I assume he's been appointed to that. How long is that for? Do we know? Is there a way that works? Is he appointed for so long to represent? Or?
It does have a time frame, but I'm not aware what the period is.
I don't recall, but I can look into that for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other discussion of the report? Item number 8 is our public comments, and if you'd like to do a public comment, if you'd like to make one, there's a stack of papers over there on the table at the corner. You can just fill it out, and when we call your name, if you come up, give us your name and your address, and your 3 minutes will start then. And you have 3 minutes to talk about whatever you so choose. I'll wait and talk about the public hearing, public comments, because there are a couple questions about that when we get to that. But right now, anyone who would like to make any public comments Please fill out a piece of paper and you can hand it to Mr. Hoffman there and they'll just pass it around. So Beth Kaplan.
That's happening 7979 Highfield Road. As we've already discussed tonight, we know that Trudy Whitaker passed over the weekend, and Summerfield has lost a very valuable member of its community. Trudy was a wonderful advocate for this town, and she certainly showed her love for this town with all her hard work on the town's boards and committees. If you've ever gotten a chance to meet Trudy, you would have been enveloped by her unending optimism. You would have been amazed by her ability to educate and her love of learning. You would have been enthralled by her ability to communicate and connect with everyone. She was sweet, compassionate, funny, and strong, and she could bake an amazing cookie. I wish you'd all had the chance to meet Trudy, to get to know Trudy, and to love Trudy like I did. But we're also lucky that she left her love and mark on so many things that she's done for Summerfield. We are truly the lucky ones. Trudy, you are greatly loved and will be greatly missed.
So well said. Thank you. Terry Piper.
Do I still say my name and address?
Please.
I'm Jerry Pipe at 7804 Robinson Road, Summerfield. And I'm here tonight asking for everyone in School District 3 to vote for Michael Logan. Not because I've known him and his wife for years and we're friends, but because of how he votes on the school board. I have 7 grandchildren in the public schools. He puts the children, their families, safety, and academic learning before money. Recently, during Oak Ridge Ridge Fest, I was wearing Mr. Logan's candidate t-shirt, and a woman approached me and said she wanted to tell him thank you for helping her and her family out with a school traffic problem in front of their home. She said she had contacted school administration and other board members, but Mr. Logan was the only one who responded to her with his assistance. Mr. Logan is currently serving on the school board. He's highly qualified for this position. He has a history of teaching in Guilford County for 26 years and in good standing. He is always prepared for the school board meetings with facts, numbers, and he's cool, calm, and collected. I know because I attend many of these meetings, either in person or online, and I see what goes on. Both he and his wife, Pam, serve the community locally on a state level and locally, and without expecting anything in return. I've been at school board meetings when speakers have attacked Mr. Logan personally with lies. He just sits there and listens. And he does not retaliate afterwards toward that speaker during the meeting as other board members have done. But if there is a truth that needs to be said, he will say it. He is working hard to ensure children will learn to read, write, and do math competently to be successful, happy, and productive citizens. He understands the parents are the parents of the children, not the schools. Thanks.
Thank you. Kathy Sterling.
Hi, I'm Kathy Sterling. I live at 1445 Highway 150 in Summerfield. I'd like to speak today about the Superintendent of Public Instruction for North Carolina, particularly Michelle Morrow. We have 2 candidates obviously up for that, Mo Green and Michelle Morrow, and they're very different in all aspects, with Michelle Morrow being the far better choice. For example, Green's educational statistics, he's a political science and law major, which explains his educational bureaucratic viewpoint, in my opinion. I call it all show and no go. Michelle has a nursing degree, as she also taught chemistry, biology, civics, and Spanish in micro schools. Micro schools are a hybrid between home schools and traditional schools. She has the knowledge and skills to teach and has had her children in private, public, and homeschooling. She's a strong advocate for school choice and has an important perspective of each school's strengths and weaknesses. Some have asked, why does she homeschool her children? Well, my answer is because she could and was highly qualified to do so. Her platform is very simple: educate instead of indoctrinate. Make our schools a safe place for our students, not a scary place where kids don't even want to go to the bathroom because they have fear of exposure to drugs or the opposite sex. Michelle is not a bureaucrat. She will work alongside the teachers to promote critical thinking in our students and elevate scholastic achievement for students of every background without dumbing down the test to do so. She does not support promoting transgender conversion without parental involvement or critical race theory, rewriting how our history is taught in public schools. She prefers a rigorous, traditional curriculum of English, math, foreign language, and science. Her opponent believes that throwing more money, our tax dollars by the way, is the answer to all ills in government, and particularly to the school system at large. However, North Carolina's charter schools have proven that the per student tax dollar amount can more than sufficiently cover a great and meaningful educational experience. I raised 2 sons through the public school system in Guilford County, as well as raising my grandson who just graduated from Northern Guilford High School this past year. I have personally experienced the heartbreak of our public schools. We all witnessed the pandemic decisions that damaged our children academically and emotionally. I know there's a better way, and I believe Michelle is up to the challenge. Michelle is affiliated with several nonprofit organizations whose goal is to build up race relations among our students. First one is Color Us United. It supports an America united in individuality and freedoms. It's a voice against those who want to divide us by race, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characteristic. Another one is a Spanish organization. But she is someone who can constantly advocating for our children and smart as a whip.
Thank you, Ms. Burr.
Thank you.
Paul Schumacher?
Schumacher, yep.
Yeah. So,
Good evening. My name is Paul Schumacher. I'm here to kind of introduce myself. I am actually running against Michael Garrett for North Carolina. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Schumacher, could you please give us your address?
Okay, 519 Park Terrace in Greensboro.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I'm here running against Michael Garrett. Michael Garrett floated a bill in the state senate to repeal the standard ground law. That doesn't seem to make sense to me, especially when crime rates are going up. Why should you feel that you are less? What reason would the government want you to be defenseless in your own home? I mean, this doesn't make sense. Who am I? I am a veteran. I did 23 and a half years as a pilot in the Air Force. I have done all kinds of things. I flew supersonic jets, helicopters, and heavy lift cargo. Some of the things, I got a national award for outstanding aircrew. One of the things I did is I coordinated the Bosnian airlift for the humanitarian airlift. I moved 78% of the total cargo through just the reserves, using only 3 C-5 aircraft over the year. It changed the way the Air Force does heavy airlift. I used innovative ideas and creativity to come up with new ways of doing it. That's what I want to bring to this state government. What is the problem with the state government? Our state government is supposed to be the one to keep our federal government in check, not the other way around. And so that's why I want to run for state senate. This is where the changes need to be made in order to fix our governmental problems. As for the annexation of the town, it says on my flyer here, my opponent said nothing when members of the state legislature went so far as to assume to annex portions of Summerfield in order to further their personal projects for negligible community benefits. What can you do about it? Well, there's still some things. You as the town council might think about maybe setting a tax on any property that is built underneath the old, under the new rules. You can very simply just set that tax. And if the state comes in and says, well, we're going to annex that property, make them buy it. That's the way I would go with it. And I will be, and when I get elected, I'll be at the seat of the table to help you on that problem. Paul Schumacher, North Carolina State Senate, District 27, against Michael Garrett. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Maria Adams.
Good evening, thank you so much. Maria Adams, 5999 Morganshire Drive. Well, as you can tell, there's an election coming up. And I'm not running, but I'm here to support Mr. Michael Logan, who is our current school board District 3 representative. But I didn't want to just speak about him. I wanted to share some information about all three candidates and to let you know that Mr. Logan is the Republican candidate, Mr. David Coates is the Democrat candidate, and Bill Goebel is the unaffiliated, which, by the way, he was Republican and he switched to Democrat and then he became unaffiliated. But he didn't tell people that when he was asking for signatures for his petition. But our community's children are the most vulnerable members of our society, deserving of our utmost protection, and we must carefully consider who we entrust with their well-being and education. It's imperative to vote wisely. So I'd like to share some insight on each of these candidates. I've been highly impressed by Mr. Logan, our current school board representative, who has truly exemplified outstanding service leadership. Since assuming his position on the school board earlier this year, Mr. Logan has consistently demonstrated responsiveness, transparency, and a strong presence in our community. He's been actively involved in various district events, including festivals, PTA meetings, football games, graduation ceremonies, and town meetings. He will be here tonight, but he's actually at a school board meeting, which coincides with this meeting as well, so that's why he's not here. Additionally, I've personally witnessed Mr. Logan addressing a wide range of parent concerns, offering prompt and effective solutions, and following his early retirement from a 26-year teaching career with Guilford County Schools, Mr. Logan has dedicated himself fully to his role as a public school representative. Now, Mr. Coates, I have not personally met him, but he seems like a very genuine and honest man. And from his website, he's got a lot of credentials. So I certainly encourage everyone to learn more about Mr. Coates through his website and maybe even reach out to him. Bill Goebel, as I mentioned, he's the unaffiliated candidate. And if you remember, Goebel betrayed our community when he manipulated his way onto the school board. He publicly admitted to a secret meeting with the board chair and the board attorney to steal the seat from the Republican Party. It required legislative intervention to remove Goebel and rightfully install Mr. Logan. Goebel's reluctance to give up the seat resulted in additional financial burdens on taxpayers due to legal expenses. And upon Goebel's exit, he stated in an interview with the Greensboro News and Record, quote, "I feel that I'm better suited to be on the school board than someone who knows how to change tires." And that's what Goebel said, referring to Logan's background as an automotive instructor. So not only did this disparage Mr. Logan's expertise as a master automotive technician, but he also showed disrespect for every person who is currently in or pursuing a career in the automotive industry. So with all that information said, I just encourage everyone to really take the time to research the candidates, understand who they are, and take their actions into consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any word from council, the manager, town attorney,
I'll
or
say,
any comment?
Ms. Kaplan, thank you, those were very sweet words. For Ms. Pikett, Ms. Sterling, Mr. Schumacher, and Mrs. Adams, thank you for coming out and sharing your opinions. Mr. Schumacher, if you do get in the office, I think you were talking about bills, maybe you could put one in that says that that land will be re-annexed into Summerfield.
That's my plan.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 10. I'm sorry, anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to item number 10, the public hearing and the action of voting on the fiscal year 24-25 budget. So I don't say a hearing here, are we saying that because we had the hearing, Well, if that hearing wasn't noticed, we have to have a hearing tonight.
Yes,
Okay,
so we're opening and closing the hearing tonight.
okay, all right. Then anyone who would like to speak or have public comments to the budget, the 24-25 budget, talk about the finances of the town, anything to do with financial nature, or really anything, to be honest with you. But if you take opportunity, please fill out a public comments, just like you just did. I'll give you a few seconds to do that in case anyone would like to.
Are there copies of the budget here tonight?
There, no, it was on the website.
I didn't see it. And I looked.
It was
It's in the packet.
It was in the packet, and it was also under the budget section of the website.
Got my eyes.
And this is virtually the same. Just look at this, is virtually the same that was in there before, right?
Yes, it's the same one that was
Is it virtually
presented.
the same or the same?
It is the same budget that was presented May 29th to you.
Anyone else like to make public comments? Okay, Mr. Wendell.
Don Wendell, 3406 Winslow Drive. Just a few words. I just say, remember that the money that we have is not yours, it belongs to all of us. All of us who live in Summerfield, all of us who write checks, all of us who have bank accounts, all of us who work hard, it belongs to all of us. It's not a place where you just grab money and pay for things. So that's all I would say. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other folks in line for public comments, we'll now close the public hearing and take this matter up amongst the council. Is there any discussion amongst the council on the budget, or would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, if I might,
Please.
if you reach a point where you are going to make a motion, I would recommend that the motion include not only the adoption of the budget, but a ratification of all the actions by the town between the time of the adoption of the budget initially and now.
That's good, yeah. Should we say, what was the date that the budget was adopted previously?
June 25th.
June 25th, so we would include the ratified everything that happened since June 25th.
Well, since 7/1. Since that budget that you approved would have been effective 7/1, you in effect approved an interim budget.
Take a stab at that.
And
So we ratify everything that happened on the interim budget.
and so and some of the larger line items like water and Bandera, those seem to be the reason why that's significantly larger. Is that the way you saw it, Ms. Luther?
Yes. As we discussed previously, the Bandera project is on hold until the new town manager comes, and it'll be one of his priority projects when he gets here. The estimates came in quite larger than the grants, and so there'll be some value engineering based on council's thoughts and the new manager's thoughts on what could be scaled down per se, and where some cost savings could result. And at that point, he will be able to bring you some more information. Now, if you look at the budget does not include all of the grant revenues related, because you see it only has 2.5 million, and of course we have the 6.6. So what she's done when she created this budget, she's put portion in this year and a portion into next year. So that's what you're seeing. But the large budget in relation to previous budgets is because of those projects, the water, the Bandera, and the AY, because those expenses are going to be hitting this year, and that's the start of the expenses, with the remaining expenses then would be budgeted in the subsequent years. That is unless you go to capital budgeting and you start budgeting by project instead of including them in your general fund. And that's a thought for the future. That way you separate your you could budget the entire project and all costs separately, and it's an ongoing versus having to figure out, okay, how much do we think we're gonna spend this year versus how much we're gonna spend next year. And it does save the finance officer pretty much a lot of work, because they're not going back and forth trying to figure out where things are gonna wind up and trying to split those expenses at year end, especially when a lot of construction is happening, especially with these are large projects. That's something to think about for the future, is doing capital budgeting.
Ms. Luther, in relation to Bandera, it's probably way too early for this question, but is there an update on the additional grant funding that you presented not too long ago?
And did I say that right earlier? I just looked down, I think I'm on the wrong line there. It was 3.125 on the water, and then there was 2.5. Did I say it backwards? Yeah, I may have said, okay, sorry, ask your question again, I just have to look down and I realize I misspoke.
Any update on the additional grant funding for Bandera that you presented?
They extended that grant date, and a lot of the grants are getting extended as well because of the recent hurricanes. So the state is very busy, and they're not as responsive if you call or you email, because their entire focus right now is on hurricane victims. And so it might get extended again, but right now it's extended to November, whereas we thought it was going to, we rushed it in thinking, and it was right there when we had the meeting, we rushed it in, but we didn't have to submit. So we're going to meet on regarding that with the new town manager, and we'll finalize the submission.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve the budget as presented and to ratify any action since the previously approved July 1st budget.
With the addition of the change for the planning services.
With the addition of the change for planning services. That's the 70,000 that's been moved from planning salary to
Planning
services.
services, yes.
I'm sorry, yeah. Mr. Bacon, you mean to read that again?
Not sure I can.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, read it again.
Okay. I move to approve the budget as presented and to ratify any action since the previously approved July 1st budget with the addition of the 70,000 from planning salary to services.
Yes.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and the motion carries. Completes item number 10, item number 11. I'll turn it over to you.
As you know, we did not have an auditor, and so we put out a new RFP for an auditor. We had several responses who said they can get the audit done in time for the state deadlines. So Mr. Tony Brewer came in with a bid of $8,000 with a potential reduction of $2,000 if staff prepares the financials, and an addition of $2,000 for each major program in terms of the grants and so forth. So he was less than half of the next bid. And so we have in front of you his audit contract, which is pretty much a state template. And if you could approve his services, we can get started on that audit in the next couple of weeks.
Any discussion, or anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we approve the audit contract with Tony Brewer.
I'll second.
For 8,000.
Have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion?
Do we need to put the amount in the motion?
Yes.
So, and I move that we approve the audit contract with Tony Brewer for $8,000.
And if you want to go ahead and state the possible reduction in the additions, that way it's clear, because depending on how the grants fall, they'll have to add amounts per fund.
With the potential reduction of $2,000 for staff preparation and the potential addition of $2,000 for each major program.
I second that amendment.
Okay. So we have a new motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Item B.
So you have in front of you the personnel manual, and with the soon-to-be hired employees, it was important that we have a finalized personnel manual, finalized benefits, and everything for day one with the new employees coming on board. So all of you pretty much gave me your thoughts and suggestions for some revisions, and Mr. Clay talked to Mr. Rollins, the new town manager, and got his thoughts and also documented his thoughts regarding the items so that we had his input for this meeting. We wanted to respect his wishes and not approve a policy without his input. So you were provided as well with his comments. And so as we go through, there's a lot here, and some of them are just minor changes in wording, just to clarify. There are some suggested changes that are benefit related, and so we can discuss those as we go, and then we'll see where everybody winds up in the end. If you want, I can leave the discussion and just go through the major items.
That'd be great.
Okay. So if you notice, the term, it's just a matter of terminology that's throughout the document on page 2. The introduction, by the way, will adjust when we get the final document, but the table of contents. But page 2 is just some wording for consistency. Page 3 is once again some wording with the way the equal employment opportunity statement has been changed over the years. Page 4, under job advertisement, that's once established because the new town manager will have to create salary ranges and position schedules. So that's once established. Page 5 just changes it to say that the requirement applies to all positions, the selective service compliance. Section 12, transfer of leave accrued under previous employment. That's one topic that has gotten a lot of discussion. The way the town had it, you could transfer your sick leave from your previous employer based on certain criteria, with the maximum 90 days accepted. And when you retire, the way the retirement system works is you can convert that, if you have sick time left, you can convert that into time worked towards your retirement. So once you're vested in the system, you're eligible to do that. And so a lot of North Carolina employers will allow you to transfer sick time if you go from employer to employer. Of course, you don't see that in the private industry. That's pretty much unheard of in the private industry. So the question becomes, are you willing to, or do you want to leave it as is? One suggestion is that you accept it, but it can only be used for retirement purposes. And we do not have an answer regarding that from the retirement system because, like I said, they're worried with the hurricane victims right now, so we're not getting responses to our emails. So we can confirm anything at a later time if you decide you want to change that. But in terms of what is stated here, there's a recommended change that credited sick leave will not be available for use until 6 months of employment. And when available for use, it's considered sick leave with the town, meaning their transferred sick leave they can use with us after 6 months of employment. That's the suggested wording, I think from our town manager, our new town manager, that was one of the suggestions. One of the suggestions was not to only allow it for retirement purposes if that's allowable. And then there's the other option of not allowing the transfer at all. So those are kind of your three options. I don't know if you want to discuss it more now or roll it around as we go through the policy.
This is quite a few pages here. It might be better to discuss it now so that as we go. Has anybody had any issues so far with anything before section 12?
No issues.
Mr. Doggett?
No.
Devine?
No.
Mr. Zess, is anything you want to add?
No.
So then I guess number 12 is the first place where there has to be maybe a little bit of discussion. So who had some strong thoughts on this?
I did on the wording of our prior policy did not specifically refer to the NC state or local government. It just said a prior employer, kind of left it open to any private industry. So talking with Dana, talking with Mr. Rollins, they felt like we need to specifically say this is for governmental role.
Ms. Luther, do you have any input on the strong thing?
Once again, I agree with that statement that it should be governmental to governmental. And since we know that it does go towards the retirement system, and that's usually why people have a large balance, they do apply it towards their retirement. And it's pretty much a council decision based on whether you think that they should be able to transfer in sick time that they've earned elsewhere and be allowed to use it for the town.
I think it's a crazy idea, but if it's standard for government, then typically I would not have been a fan of, I thought that was crazy, but if that's what's standard, then.
I agree with you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
When I started looking more into this during the recruitment process for our manager, I found several local governments our size that had actually a little more even lucrative in kinds of transfer of leave, and even our state government has some form of transfer of leave into the NCLGUR.
And let me just say that our new town manager was worried that if you did not allow any of this, that would hurt recruitment efforts, because they're used to the transfer, and a lot of the local governments do have the transfer. So that was one of his fears, hurting recruitment. So that's another consideration. But yeah, private industry, you don't hear this. This is a governmental thing, and not all of them do it, but a significant number do.
Mayor Systems, what do you think about this?
I think someone would like to make I guess we can do it with a thumbs up if someone has a suggestion that we could check for consensus on. We could put this to bed, we won't.
What do you think about this part of the change?
I don't have anything.
I'm good.
I have one question, just curious, so these sick days, if they roll over to retirement, that doesn't have anything to do with accumulation of time or money or anything that with the 401ks or anything, it's all separate?
So the only way it would involve that would be if they used it. So say they took a week of sick, of course they're going to get paid for that week, and then that portion 401k match, and also they would get the 6% deducted for their retirement systems. That's the only way it would come in. When they leave, they do not get paid their sick time. If they just leave, it's forfeited. If they go to another government that would accept it, or even another employer that would accept it, it could be transferred. But it does not financially affect you other than them taking it.
Is there anybody here who's against it? So I guess as we go from page 6 to 7, we're good, right?
Yep.
And the next page was a suggestion from your new town manager, changing the probationary period from 3 to 6 months. And that makes sense because in 3 months, it's kind of hard to judge somebody completely. And so he would like to see a 6-month probation for new employees. Now, I want you to keep that in mind later when we discuss probationary employees. So does anybody have an issue with that one before we move forward? Okay. Work schedules and attendance, that's pretty much just a statement that, you know, you need to be there and you need to be on time and so forth. No big change there. The employment of relatives, another one from your new town manager, he would like to see it prohibited for family members. We're such a small government and it's difficult and it's hard to separate familial relations when you're that so few employees.
I think that's a great one.
Okay, nothing on 9, nothing on 10, nothing on 11. 12, nobody was quite sure what that statement really meant because there's nothing on the Attorney General's site in terms of procedures that we could locate. So it just says we're going to do background checks, including credit and criminal, which we do. And pretty much Attorney General's office, you're looking at criminal anyway. So that pretty much covers it. Anybody have any issues with that? Okay, at the bottom, 12, that is just to clarify that unless somebody goes over 40 hours physically having worked 40 for that week, it doesn't include holiday, vacation. So if they worked 45 hours but they had a whole day off, then they didn't physically work 40 and you're not required to pay them overtime. So that's just to make it clear for the DOL rules and what you're required to do for overtime, time and a half. Hourly rate of pay, we don't really have any other pay schedules. We just have an hourly rate of pay. So we took out the wording for things that we don't have, on-call pay and holiday pay. The reporting schedule with the overtime is supposed to be approved in advance anyway. So the fact it says no later than 7 days after its accrual, well, they don't turn in timesheets till the end of the month, so it just doesn't make sense that they're turning something in that they already asked for approval for, and then they have to turn it in to say they did it when they're going to turn it in on their monthly timesheet anyway. So this just takes out the hindrance of it. And this just clarifies the town may not unjustly benefit from work performed without prior knowledge. So once again, that they're supposed to have their hours assigned, they're supposed to be pre-approved for any overtime, extra work, and if you know that they're working, you have to pay them. So that's pretty much just covering us legally. Once again, just clarification, they're all leaves, so it just says the different kinds of leaves on page 14. At the bottom, it just shows the regular working hours at town hall, which are 8:30 to 4:30. And for clarification, the reason the hours were established at 8:30 to 4:30 years ago was because we knew that people had night meetings, and that gave them some flexibility during the week to work less hours because they'll be there at night to make up 40. again, on page 15, that's just keeping in line with the state statutes and the wording. Page 16. This just was a change saying that if they do not provide 2 weeks' notice, that they're not eligible for rehire. If they don't give us the courtesy of a 2-week notice, then they don't really deserve the courtesy of being rehired. That's kind of the thinking. And once again, clarification of wording on page 16. Page 17, once again, just wording, clarification, and changes. The three strikes you're out kind of thing, it is consensus that the way the policy was written almost had too many chances given to the employees. You know, you should be able to do an oral, you should do a written, and then they're out. You shouldn't have to do an oral, then a written, then another written, and then decide. That's pretty much too many steps in the process, because usually before you ever go to an oral warning, you've already had several discussions about the topic. So this just eliminated that final written warning and gave the town manager the option of doing oral, written, and then termination if necessary. I think most people agree with that. Any issues? Okay. That was page 18, so page 19. Wording changes. And this says that the salary paid to reinstated employee shall be as close as reasonably possible given the circumstances. The situation with such a small town and bringing them back into a position, you're not going to have those positions usually available to bring them back into. So this just gives them their previous years of service and previously accrued sick leave and the benefits in accordance with the policy, but doesn't guarantee any salary. And that's if reinstated. So meaning they could be reinstated to another position and not be stuck with their previous salary. Any questions on that item? Once again, wording changes, 20 for clarification. 21, so there was some discussion of what should constitute, which hours should lend towards benefits. So do they have to work 20 or 25? One suggested change, or a suggested change, was 25 hours a week in order to get benefits and not 20. So it was a change from part-time, instead of being 20 to 28, 25 to 29, then 30 to 34, I think that says 20, that should be 30 to 34, and then 35 to 40. And at 25 to 29 would be 50% of the coverage paid by the town. 30 to 34 would be 75%, and 35 to 40 would be 100%. So the only change are those first two categories, which would make it 25 to 29 and 30 to 34.
And just out of curiosity, how did we come up with those numbers? Is that some sort of standard?
Not really. That was just, years ago, it was for recruitment purposes, because once again, I think we had some maybe negative publicity, and in order to attempt to recruit it,